Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. It's championship weekend. Are you ready to make some money? Let's get after it. We're in the middle of a great run in both football and basketball. We're going to talk about that from the previous week. We've got UFC coming up again this week. Lots of these conference championship games. Of course, a huge NFL card as well, and much, much more. Let's get you signed up, get you ready to make money this weekend. Also, we're going to have to talk about scam sports books out there because I am getting inundated with calls of people that can't get paid. We've said this for a year. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. How are you, buddy?
I am well. Although even though last week was fantastic with the holiday and travel and everything went smooth, I got a really vicious reminder of how the other half lives, and the other half being people who are not signed up for the Fat Jack Sports Service, because I was in a state where I couldn't legally place bets, and everyone else who was a client of the Fat Jack Sports Service won money last week, except this guy, because I was barren in a wasteland of inability to wager.
Yeah, but thank goodness that you generally speaking, are in a state that allows gambling. If you're running the state of Oklahoma, and by the way, I know Kevin really, really well, and I don't blame him specifically, but if you're the head of these tribes, the head of the state, you are doing damage in this particular subject to your state. If you're in Texas, you're in Oklahoma, you're in California, one of the many, not many, there's just a few left.
There's only like 11 states that don't have it yet.
That people are, and some of those are never going to get it. Hawaii doesn't gamble in any way. Utah's got a ton of Mormons running around. They can't even drink caffeine. They're certainly not going to start gambling anytime soon. Other than those two, Alaska's another one. But those type of states, everybody else understands that this is a freedom of choice. People should be able to do what they want. And it's just greed. So much greed getting in the way of allowing this to happen. But I will tell you, you're not just doing a disservice, generally speaking, to your state. You are hurting the people of your state individually, because what happens, like with prohibition and alcohol, actually, frankly, like abortion, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but people die if they do stuff illegally in those type of things. With alcohol, when you drink, back before prohibition, if you drink alcohol, you kind of get what you get. If you get sick or whatever, you're getting something illegal. There's no recourse. Gambling is the same way. I have clients all over the country, and some of these people are in states that doesn't allow legalized sports gambling. And so they pick up whatever method they can find in their state. And the water is so muddy. It's so gray in what's legal. Like Prize Picks is legal, but betting on sport, I mean, it's so stupid. Now, you can bet on anything else in Oklahoma and in California and those type places. But, oh, by the way, if you want to bet on a game, it's illegal. So they go offshore or they go to local, but wherever. What happens when you sign up for my service, I've said this for years, Brandon, people who gamble with bookies or sports books, when you're a losing gambler, which most people are, they're great. They will gladly take your money, provide a platform for you to bet, and then just keep spending your money on tacos or whatever the heck they spend their money on, your money on. But when you start winning, which what you're going to do when you sign up for me, with me at FatJackSports.com, which is, by frankly, this is why I haven't been to Oklahoma in literally 3 months.
Right.
I haven't been there since the middle of October because I can't bet there. And so I'm spending my time in places I can bet legally, and because I know I'm going to get paid. But these guys go out there and they find these different places. We don't refer anybody. If you live in Oklahoma or California or Texas, I don't tell you where to bet. I just give you the plays that will make you money. Well, if they go find some place that won't pay because these bookies have been great at taking their money, but they're not good at paying their money, now they reach back out to me saying, Jack, I can't get paid. What's going on? He was so good before. This sports book was great for 5 years. That's because you sucked at gambling for 5 years. You couldn't win. Now you're winning. Listen, you sign up with me. You're in the deep end of the pool. We're going to make money. And you're going to want to get paid. So you need to have some place that will pay you, or you need to find a runner to go to Kansas or any state. Pick a state. Arkansas, obviously the entire South just about, except Alabama. They can't find their butt with both hands there. But any place else, I mean, you can bet legally. You're going to want to find a runner who at least get on an app and bet legal, because we're going to win. And that's what we did last week. Go to FatJackSports.com. It's championship week if you want to win this week. Prices are always going to be better for the longer packages, but most importantly, don't miss winning days. Don't miss winning weeks. The only headaches or people I hear from this time of year are morons that sign up for a day or 2 or 3 days and then they do what they want. They use words like assume. Well, I assumed this was going to happen. I assumed this. We send a recommended betting guide so you don't have to assume anything. We have made it idiot proof, but apparently not entirely idiot proof, because there are still people out there that figure out a way to lose on a week when it's very difficult to lose. In the middle of that week, a day, Brandon, this brings my first real point of the show, that the general public did as well as they could possibly historically have ever done.
Yep.
Are you aware that on Sunday, 10-1, the teams that had more money bet on them were 10-1 against the spread, and last week 13 teams that were favorites covered the number. That has never happened in the Super Bowl era. 12, I think, was the record. Maybe 13 is the record. The point is that this is if you didn't make money last Sunday, you either A, are the worst, literally the worst gambler in the world, or you're signed up for somebody that actually probably knows what they're doing. Because think about what I said there. It's really difficult, but it's the truth. Guys like me, and even Sunday was fine. I mean, we didn't lose a bunch of money, and we had won Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all a bunch of basketball 8-1, NFL won, college won, everything won all week long. Sunday, if you just played the favorite, just played the team that is supposed to win if there was no points involved, you probably did pretty well for one day. So if you found a way to not be signed up for me or somebody, there's other people that make money besides myself, but if you find a way to not be signed up for somebody like us and you didn't make money, you literally are the worst gambler in the world, because you got to pick a lane. Either be John Q. Public, that's going to lose 5 out of every 6 weeks on average, but that 1 week you're going to not totally go broke. Well, that was Sunday. Or get signed up with me, win 5 out of every 6 weeks on average, and then you'll have a day or two that you'll give back a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a teensy tiny little bit on the heels of winning the previous 5 or 6 days in a row. So great time to get signed up. Great time to win. Go to FatJackSports.com. What you think about Sunday? I mean, one of those that you look up and say that's an aberration, or has Las Vegas casinos forgotten how to handicap?
I think it was just a perfect storm of teams in situations where they were really kind of behind the 8 ball. I mean, you have teams that were playing, I want to say there's 7 backup quarterbacks that were in their second or third start for their teams. And you also got, I think, to the point for some teams where they're beginning to realize, that trip to Aruba is a little bit closer than maybe we think it is. We need to start maybe looking ahead a little bit. It's hard sometimes to think that or forget that these guys are professionals and they're going to go out and do what they are paid to do. But sometimes motivations doesn't overpower the ability to go out there and perform.
Yeah, and so you're going to have those days where I had a guy just email me and say that he couldn't get into his account. That's because he has an and sign, like an Anderson instead of an at sign. So difficult to get into your email when you don't even put it in the system correctly. My question is, hopefully he just signed up yesterday, because he hasn't ever gotten picks. It's impossible to get picks if you have an and sign where you're supposed to put an at sign. I mean, what in the world? So, yeah, you're right. I mean, it was one of those things where the expectations of the better teams, better players outperformed any of the X factors that typically you'll find value with when you factor in a line. So it rarely happens. Like I say, that was a historical day. The other thing that struck me last week, and we could talk about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and honestly, it was an easy week overall, even if you don't count the baskets that were 8-1 over the weekend and have just been building profit every day. The other thing that struck me was the unders have continued to hit at a pretty high clip. I mean, the under the totals have been historically low overall this year. But there's a subset, Brandon, when you get totals, and this is something I'm going to talk about this week on Beat the Odds. When you get totals, did you know? When you get totals of 37 or lower, all right? You seen this stat?
I have not. So this is NFL. This is NFL totals.
NFL totals of 37 or lower since 2017. So a good sample size. So it's at 6+
years of data. Yeah.
37 or lower. The under hits 81% of the time, including 3-0 last week. They are 36-1 to the under. So, which makes all the sense in the world, actually, when you think about it. We talk about thresholds in college football with the totals high totals. So you get up to 78, 79, 77 in that range. That's a threshold. The totals are not set to land where they're supposed to land, as you know. But if you're out there driving around, the totals are not set to land where the games are going to end. Everybody, total will be close, or a game side will be close. Like, gosh, boy, those guys know what they're doing. They hit it right on the number. That is not the goal of a number, of a line, both in totals and sides. The goal of a total and a line, and more importantly, the total in this case, is to get 50% of the money on each side. So there's going to be thresholds where they're not going to want to go over that on these extreme highs, extreme lows. Think of it on the low end in the NFL. When you get down to 35 or 36, if the total needed to be 30, let's say, okay, two teams, New England and the Giants. All right, well, I just threw two out. There's a bunch of them this year. Jets against anybody. There's a bunch of teams. But anyway, Bears early in the year, they're giving up 1 million points. Now they're not giving up any, not scoring a lot. But those other teams that, generally speaking, Washington would be in that group. They don't score a lot, bad quarterback play, and have a good defense. When those two teams play each other, when the math comes out and the total should be 30, and they put it at 30, they would get 90% of the money on the over. Yep. Guys that wouldn't play that game they wouldn't care, would all play the over. So, and there wouldn't be enough sharp money at 30 to create value with the under to get guys like me at 20,000 a time, 50,000 a time to go under the total. There wouldn't be that many. So they would be exposed. They're trying to get both money equal on both sides. So they have to set that total to where guys like me, the sharp players, will find value in betting something that is uncomfortable for the $50 guy. So they set those games at 36, even though they probably should be 30, understanding that creates value. They need guys like me, and it's not just me, obviously, but guys like me, they need us to bet the side that is probably going to win, because they're going to have $50 guys. Even at 36, they're going to say, gosh, that's super low. I'm going to go over the total. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you got it. The number of bets isn't as important as the amounts total of all the bets.
They don't want to be exposed for hundreds of thousands of dollars on the total between the Giants and the Jets. That's not where they want to make their living. So they're putting those totals where they know guys like me will bet a bunch of money on the under, when the general public is going to go over because the number's so low. So think about that from a historical standpoint, Brandon. Since 2017, if the total's 37 or lower, 81% of the time the under's hitting, because guys like me are winning 81% of the time, and the $50 guys are losing 81% of the time. It's just a small example with a big subset and a huge percentage of wins or losses, if you're playing the wrong side of that you can take away going forward. Well, those were 3-0 again last week. It was 27-6-1 before last week, 3-0 to that. There's one of those games this week. You say, well, Jack, how's that help me? It helps you because our first free winner of the day,
it's Falcons-Jets.
Falcons-Jets. 36.5 right now. I don't think it's going to come up because guys like me know exactly what they're doing. They're going to play under.
And you look at either of these teams, you got the Jets who are playing a third-string quarterback. No one knows who's playing quarterback for the Falcons. How are either of these teams going to get into the 20s?
Yeah, we say that every week with 2 or 3 games, but guys still find a way. They find a reason to play the over. And actually, that's the threshold. So if you're out there trying to learn something today, which most people are not, they're waiting on a story of some kind or something. But if you're out there trying to learn something today, write it down. In the NFL, if you're going to bet a total, if you're going to Vegas or Kansas or wherever, someplace that has legalized sports gambling, you don't do it every day, and for some stupid reason you're not going to sign up and actually make money with us, which you should. But if you're not, write it down. If the total is below 37, I should never play over in the NFL. You should play under or play nothing, because I'm always an advocate of play nothing versus playing a loser. You should figure out a way to do that. So more importantly, go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up and start winning. Plays this championship weekend. We're going to have a bunch of them Saturday and Sunday all the way through Monday. This is before the bowls start. Bowls are coming up here in a week or so. We're going to have a great bowl season. The bowl packages are out. Go to the website right now. You'll be able to, if you just want the bowl games, you can get that. That comes with the bowl analysis sheet. If you want to sign up for football or football and basketball, the longer package is going to save you a ton of money, and they come with the bowl analysis sheet for free. You don't pay anything for the bowl analysis sheet. It's a predicted, Jack, what's the bowl analysis sheet? I just moved to town. Bowl analysis sheet, predicted final score on every single bowl game going on this year. It all goes out before the first bowl game goes. So if you're in an office pool, if you like to play more than just the top plays that we send, you want more games during the Christmas holiday or during your holiday season, you get those games. You'll get whatever information. You'll have a side and total because you'll have the predicted final score on every single game. That if you want to play, you certainly can. It's a bonus, a gift that I give out to my clients. If you sign up, you have to sign up at least through the bowl championship, through the the national championship game. Otherwise, because I'll have people complain every year, they'll sign up for a week or two. Well, Jack, I want to get the bowl analysis sheet. Well, you're not signed up for through the national championship game, so you don't get the bowl analysis sheet. You get the top plays between now and whenever your package expires. So if you're on a package that expires between now and the NCAA championship game, extend through there. You'll get the bowl analysis sheet for free. Go to FatJackSports.com. Stop messing around. We're making so much money again this year. Basketball's turning a huge profit again. Football's winning weekly. Everybody's making money. If you're playing on your own, you're probably not winning other than last Sunday. Stop guessing and start winning today at FatJackSports.com. How are we doing on time?
We are good. Sunday, Jack, when the bowl announcements start going out, those lines are going to start popping. How much movement are we going to see on point spreads, usually on bowl games between, say, Sunday and when they actually kick off?
You're going to see some of the games you're going to have sharps that are standing by waiting, and other ones they're not going to move much at all because nobody gives a rip.
But two, I would think that it would be maybe delayed, especially for some of the larger games as it gets closer to New Year's and then closer to the playoff, because we're waiting to see what the transfer portal does. We're waiting to see which guys are opting out.
Yeah, and that becomes the thing. That's why the bowl analysis sheet is not the gospel. This guy signed up on the 17th of the month.
Literally 2 weekends ago.
What's he doing? What's he doing? He signed up 2 weeks ago. He put an and sign, not an at sign, as an email. How's he getting plays? People, come on, man. I mean, just if you're not going to put your email address incorrect, the very minimum, email the office and let me know you're not. Oh my God, Brandon.
Maybe he couldn't email the office because he was trying to do info and the Fat Jack.
And the Fat Jack. Yeah, he thinks this is a restaurant or a club or a band. Info in the Fat Jack's like Huey Lewis in the News.
Who is on my bucket list, by the way. I have 3 artists, Jack, that are on my my concert bucket list. Huey Lewis in the News, one of them.
It's still, you haven't seen him, want to see him?
Not seen. I would love to see Huey Lewis in the News.
That would be so fun. Who I would love to see that I never saw, and I won't get to probably now because he's 1,000, is Paul Simon.
Okay.
Paul Simon, his concerts, I saw, if you YouTube him, he did one in Central Park.
Oh, yeah.
He brings in a bunch of African singers. He's got a very laid-back vibe. I think it looks like I'm getting older with my music the older I get. Like I didn't grow up on Paul Simon or Simon and Garfunkel, any of that stuff. I'm
it's an 80s. Acquired taste later in your life, yeah.
It seems to be, that it's like the Jimmy Buffett for people who aren't looking for a beach vibe. It's just kind of easygoing and those type of artists, the Edmund Fitzgerald, I forget who sings that, but there's a bunch of those songs that are just kind of easy, laid back songs. But I would love to see Paul Simon, and I think he's not dead, but he's definitely old, probably not doing a lot of concerts. So you should do that. But Huey Lewis, he's still out there, hip to be square.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of them. Huey Lewis,
Back in Time.
Love the Michael Scott. I love the Office one. You see the Office one where he says, I'm going to play all the original hits by somebody, and he gives the songs up, and it's actually Huey Lewis in the News and 3 other artists that aren't even, because the Huey Lewis does sound like a lot of those same people. So I should really learn all of the specifics of a story before I start into a story. So I'm going to write that down as well. Go to FatJackSports.com, start winning today. I have bad news, Brandon. You want to hear it now or after the break?
I am always one for hearing bad news up front, but I feel as if this is going to be a lengthy story, so we probably should save it.
It is. So let's do this. Let's look at some championship games or a championship game or two first, and then we're going to come back from the break, and I'm going to give you some what I consider horrible news that I had be thrust upon me. Which of these games, by the way, if you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan, before we get out of this, because we're heading into just please be quiet. Okay, if you're one of those, and by the way, it serves you right, serves me right for caring enough to watch Oklahoma State and BYU. And I'm not an OU fan, but most of my friends are.
Sure.
I mean, that's. I'll just throw that out there right now. Most everybody I know from Oklahoma, they're OU fans. That's just the way to. Not all. Kevin Stitz at OSU. Got a bunch of OSU people also. Congratulations. You're going to get blown out by Texas. Good luck with that. It's only 13 and a half. You might cover that. And I might win. Who knows? I know, but we'll figure it out later. If you're an OU fan, it serves you right that you go lose. If you complain about officials, you complain about the tie-breaking rule, you go lose to Kansas, you lose to Oklahoma State, and then you're going, no, I want to play in the championship. No, listen, if you want to play in the championship game, go beat Texas, go beat Kansas, go beat Oklahoma State, and then you get to play in the championship game. If you don't, I hope you're not raising your kids the way that you're cheering for the Sooners. And frankly, I think some of you are. Because I've been to a couple Little League games lately. I have a friend that has a 7-year-old, and I think that same theory is oozing its way into your kids' heads, and that is not good for any part of life. Oklahoma's not playing in the championship game having nothing to do with officials or Oklahoma State and BYU or overtime, what's going on, all that crap that people want to play. They're not playing the championship game because they didn't beat Kansas and or didn't beat OSU. That's it. That's why you're not playing. Next year, beat one of those teams you get to play. To that game, and I hold myself responsible for even believing that BYU, because they are so bad, could hold on to a lead, 24-6 or whatever it was.
Yep,
in that game.
At the half. Yep.
I kick myself for even thinking for a second that this team could hold on, even against an offense that's so inept as Oklahoma State, because BYU this year are full of a bunch of 40-year-old losers. I'm sorry, they are. They're too busy raising children. How about using your arms to tackle? God gave you arms. I said this to the TV, and my son laughed because that did not work when I was coaching my kids or with my blade. God gave you arms. Use your arms. Take your legs with you. This banging into people like you're a boulder, that does not work in college against good athletes. You have to wrap people up, bring your feet with you, and take them to the ground. That's how you tackle somebody. And apparently that's been lost on a lot of they were too busy learning about why not to drink caffeine and not enough time learning on how to bring your arms and your legs with you when you make a tackle for them to be able to hold on against Oklahoma State. But I watched that entire game. Brandon, did you think for 1 second that they were going to come back and win, or did you think Oklahoma is going to figure out a way to backdoor their way into the game?
I honestly thought that, especially the way Oklahoma State came out in that third quarter, and they were just throwing down the middle, hitting those slants. I honestly thought they're going to win this game by 20. And BYU, I mean, they tried to keep BYU in that game, and they made the right play when they needed to. But there was a part of me that definitely thought early third that Oklahoma State was going to win that game going away. Even down 3 scores,
and which is really sad because you would think a team that was up that much would be able to hold on and win. But it serves them right. I mean, honestly, everybody got what they deserve in that deal. You can't go lose to Kansas. They're good, but they're not. If you want to play the championship game, and by the way, it's not like OU'd be able to. OU's defense has gotten worse. I don't know.
They would get equally. I think they would get beat worse by Texas than Oklahoma State's going to.
The total would be 80 in that one, or 78. I mean, easily. Oklahoma's offense is clicking right now.
Yep.
But their defense is not stopping anybody. It's not as bad as last year or the previous years. And by the way, it could be worse. We could be at USC. You could be a USC fan. They stink on defense too, even worse. But yeah, I mean, you've got an Oklahoma team that's not stopping anybody. You got Texas teams pretty balanced. I said this preseason that if you bet against Texas every year over the last 20 years, you've made a ton of money. Them not win the Big 12. Well, this year you're probably going to lose that bet. So because they probably are going to win. 13.5-point fair. Which of these games jumps out? By the way, who you like in that game? Can Oklahoma State stay close? The number, if I'm an OSU fan, I like the fact that somebody thinks that we're good enough to, after especially seeing what happened against BYU, to at least keep the game close. There's going to be a ton of public money on Texas in this spot. It's not even going to be close. And by the way, OSU had a great season no matter what.
Sure.
Great year. 9 wins. Come on. Very, very good.
Starting 2-2 just to even be in a conference championship game is a hell of an achievement.
Great achievement, great story. But yeah, tell me about the game.
When Lime came out, I honestly thought that they didn't put it high enough. But in hindsight, I think it's about right. You wonder though if it's a backdoor situation, because I feel like Texas probably comes in, is able to move the ball early and really kind of put their foot on the throat and then they start celebrating and thinking about, hey, we're going to go play in the playoff here in a bit, and then allow Oklahoma State to get in the back door at 13.5, 14.
Are they going to play in the playoff? I mean, that's another conversation.
It is.
I do not believe they are, even if they win. I just, especially with Alabama pulling that out, I know Alabama's probably, I just think whoever wins the SEC is going, number one. And if it's Alabama, it's probably Alabama and Georgia. That's 2. And if it's Georgia, even if it's Georgia, unless I just don't think they're not going to jump people beating Oklahoma State. I'm not sure Oklahoma would have made them jump anybody either, but I think this has obviously Michigan, as long as they take care, and they're going to, it's going to be 6-0 or whatever. But yeah, they're going to most likely beat Iowa. So even with an upset or two, I don't see the path that Texas does anything great. That would be another reason to bet Texas in this spot. They need to win by 50.
They need style points. Yep.
To try to jump somebody, Florida State with a backup quarterback.
I mean, but there's still the possibility of an undefeated Pac-12 team or if Oregon avenges their lone loss and beats Washington on Friday night, it's going to get messy for that committee. So
who do you take? Who's in front now? Is it Oregon or Texas?
I think Oregon's ahead.
Oregon. Texas is not going. How would they go?
I mean, the only way. I mean, if Georgia wins handily. Michigan handles business. Oregon avenges their loss, and then Texas wins handily. I think they'll jump Florida State.
And Washington, they leave Washington out. Washington has 1 loss. I'm not saying it should be 2 Pac-12 and anybody else. I'm just saying if the committee, they're so lucky that this is the last year of this crap.
Yes.
Because this is so stupid. This has got an 18 playoff would be incredible. 12 would be even better.
12
oh my
gosh. Be great.
These games would be Michigan moved to the favorite to win the national championship.
Yep.
That's how the line setters are saying what I've been saying for a month now. The gap has been closed. It's not Georgia and then everybody else. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day this year. What a great 12-team playoff. They're very lucky this is the last year of this debacle. But if you jump, if Texas beat, who has the better loss there? Washington loses to Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game on a neutral site. That is a better loss than Texas losing to Oklahoma. And who has a better win? Oregon has a better win. And then Oklahoma State, they should both Pac-12 teams, based on the criteria that we typically go by, should be getting in.
The criteria they tell us they go by.
That's right. But what they're telling us now is it's really not about that. It's about when you lose.
Yep.
We know that there's some truth to that the whole way along. But unfortunately for the committee, they have good teams playing good teams in 2 of these conferences. And they're lucky that Ohio State and Michigan are not on separate sides of that thing, or they would have an absolute. I mean, this would be
absolute train wreck. Yep.
But it's still going to be weird. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know that Texas gets in. I also think that there's and you're right. The one thing about Texas, they don't care about covering, which always bothers me. The Texas coach does not care at all. We saw it against, who was it a couple weeks ago? Texas Tech? No, it was TCU. Played the first half, they're up 26-3 or something. Second half, they run into the line of scrimmage every single series, and TCU comes back, almost wins the game. They don't care about not only covering, they go into a shell. That's why Texas will never win the national championship game under this regime unless they decide to open things up, because that'll catch up to them time after time throughout the year. I'm excited about Monday because I don't care who wins these. There's going to be something to complain about for whoever, a few of these teams, but I don't know if Texas gets in or not. Go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up. If you don't want to have to worry about one game, when we get back from the break, I'll give you who I like in that game. We're also going to break down another one of the games. Also, I got some a bad news story coming up. So a lot coming your way after the break. But in the meantime, go to FatJackSports.com. Get one of those packages that'll make you money. Plays are emailed to you. Everybody pays the same price. Not going to ask how much money you bet per game, anything like that. We're just going to get you winning selections for a fair price that are going to get you into profit and have you complaining about your bookie or your sports book's ability to pay you if you're doing it illegally, which you shouldn't be. But if you are, that's going to be your biggest problem because you're going to make money. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up, and start winning.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Now here is our host, a man who almost set a house on fire. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Yeah, you're right. We didn't talk about that. Thanksgiving.
Well, made for a heck of an Instagram video, though.
I'll tell you, and that wasn't even the most of it. There were flames coming out of the oven over where the microwave is. I mean, it was there was a split moment where I thought about just grabbing the dog and running.
Getting butter pup and getting the heck out.
And getting out. Yeah, it was time to go. I mean, I thought I'm not a fireman. I certainly don't know where the fire extinguishers are. We did like a lot of people. We put the turkey in the oven. The juices came up to where it was over the pan. My son was trying to lift out the turkey in one of those flimsy styrofoam foil pans. It got top heavy, dumped all the grease into the oven, ignited, and flames shot out of the oven in the Airbnb in Balboa Island, Orange County. So we literally, and by the way, I had met my Jackson's future in-laws, so my son's fiance's parents, about 7 minutes before.
Hell of a first impression.
They walked in the house. Dad speaks no English at all. Mom speaks pretty good English, not great English. They walked into the house. We're doing the old awkward, how you doing? Even though I know you can't understand me. I don't know Korean. Let's just get through this. And then the house is on fire. And we've been there 7 minutes. Hard to battle back from that. So
yeah. I mean, was there any kind of game activity like after dinner for a bonding? Did you guys play dominoes or Scrabble or anything?
It's so difficult when literally one of the people does not speak English at all, and the other one, it's not their native tongue. And I hate games. I mean, there's just so many reasons not to play. We got in the golf cart. We had a golf cart. We got the golf cart. We went to tide pools down at the beach because everybody loves the ocean, loves the beach, and walking around, looking at each other, smiling, and saying pretty, pretty, pretty. So it was that. It worked fine. It was actually worked good. It went better than I thought it was going to go.
I didn't know you weren't a game guy.
I mean, I used to play a lot, and then we started playing on the boat. We started playing Connect 4, and at one point I got mad at one of our guests that came with us because he was taunting me, and I threw Connect 4 into the ocean. And I banned most games that day at the same time. So
that's fair. So,
yeah, I thought, you know what? Games are not for me. I don't want to be taunted over Connect 4.
You don't want to lose relationships, so because someone allegedly cheated at Monopoly.
You're exactly right. And yeah, I think the bankers typically has an advantage. So, I mean, how many times does a banker not win?
That's why I'm always banker.
I think that's probably best. That was a lesson I taught my children. It's an investment / monopoly, lesson. Whoever holds the money has an advantage. So, if you want to hold the money, go to FatJackSports.com. Get signed up. You will be holding more money at Christmas than you are now. New Year's will be if you've never signed up before, and you'll just sign up through New Year's, just go through New Year's, or better yet, go through the national championship game in college football. You're going to get the bowl analysis sheet for free. That's why I say that. Those longer packages save money. You're going to see what it's like to be a winning gambler. I had somebody sign up for 3 days last week, and he said, "Boy, you sure sell this service good." Do I? I'm making $99 on some of these weekends. I'm betting $10,000 a game. You know how many $99 people I would have to sign up to cover one loss? I sign up people for the service, Brandon, because I want you to be a winning sports gambler. I don't like the fact that guys give their money, their hard-earned money that they're earning doing something else, to sports books that, oh, by the way, already have a ton of money. So I could go beat them myself, as I've been doing by myself for the better part of a quarter century, and leave it at that. That's what Billy Walters does, what a lot of these guys do. But I feel like that there's no reason not to take you with me. Give you those same exact plays I play, tell you to play them the way I'm playing them, and let you build bankroll and see what it's like to actually win. Go to FatJackSports.com. Check it out. Don't be an idiot. I've made it idiot-proof. Don't be an idiot. Don't do what you want to do. After 3 days, don't say, well, you only won one game that was not an opinion. No, that's not true, A. And B, the opinions are played for half. Play the opinions. Play the basketball. And more importantly, play the selections like we ask you, and don't play the ones you want to play and not play the other ones. That's what idiots do. Don't do that. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today, and win. Let's look at the Pac-12 championship game. That's the one, right? I mean, no. SEC is obviously the one. Who's going to win the SEC championship game, Rand? I'm not going to give that out because we're going to release that. By the way, in the Oklahoma State-Texas game, I am going to play Texas. I think they do win by 14 or more, but I could see the backdoor. I won't release that game because of what I said about the coaching staff at Texas. They don't care. If they don't care, I don't care about covering. But I do think they'll win. Another free winner out there. I like UNLV as well. UNLV's they're the most profitable team in college football this year against the spread, and I think they do it again against Boise in the Pac-12 championship game. That's actually in the Elite Alliance Center or whatever it is in Vegas. Another one. This way you'll get 3. I think Florida State absolutely on upset alert with the backup quarterback. Louisville's the real deal. They definitely did not play well this last week, turn the ball over and so on and so forth, but they are really, really good. Actually, on defense, they're really good, and on offense, they're good also. So I think this is a really dangerous spot for Florida State, and they are the team, even if they won and everything fell right, if you want to look at Texas or want to look at 2 Pac-12 teams or something like that, they're the team. We've seen this in the past when you get injuries at key positions, them downgrading that team. And then the committee comes out and says, well, this is not the same team that ran through the schedule of 12-0. This is a different looking team because they lost their quarterback. And they're not wrong about that.
Sure.
So I could see Florida State, even if they beat Louisville, and I don't think they're going to, but even if they do, I could see them getting jumped by somebody that might have a little better way. It's going to, I don't want to, that committee's going to, I don't want to be the spokesperson for that committee this year.
Right. Chairman of that committee is going to have to answer some really tough questions potentially on Sunday. And he's definitely going to earn that paycheck. That's for sure.
I don't even know that it's potentially, there's not a scenario that somebody's not going to have a beef. There's just not.
5 and 6 always have a legitimate complaint most years anyways. But this year's probably.
It could go to 8. It could go to 7 or 7 for sure. You could get 3 teams for sure that would be able to do that. I beat them and you didn't beat them, so I should be blah. But you could.
I have the better win, and you have the better home. You have the better schedule win. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff there.
And if you put Texas in, that opens up Alabama to their loss. Now they've lost to Georgia and Alabama. They have 2. They lost to Georgia and Texas. Yeah, they've lost 2, but that's better than anything going on with Florida State.
That's 2 teams that are in the playoff.
Right.
Right.
Who's Florida State beat? I mean, who's their best win? Who's Florida State's best win?
Maybe Miami.
Yeah. So tell me they belong at over a 2-loss Alabama team. If Texas somehow gets in because Georgia wins and I'm just saying there's going to be 3 teams, and Alabama probably won't complain with 2 losses, but they would have a beef. There will be the same hillbillies that live in Tuscaloosa that live in Moore, Oklahoma. They're going to complain about officiating and all that kind of stuff, even though they lost 2 games they shouldn't have. Alabama's going to have an argument. They lost if Texas gets in, they lost to the defending national champions, who's number 1 or number 2 seed in this whole thing, and they lost to another team in the playoff. That's better than anything Florida State's done. And by the way, if those 2 teams played each other, Alabama would be a favorite.
Yep.
Vegas would absolutely make Florida State, especially with the current quarterback situation.
Yeah, without Jordan Travis, that's a vastly different team.
A huge favorite, 8 points, 9 points, 10, something like that over Florida State. And frankly, Alabama at this point would be favored over a lot of these teams. Not all of them that would get in, but at least one. There's going to be Alabama, even if they lose, they would mark it down. If the guys come out with lines, there will be at least one team that Alabama would be a favorite over. And I know it doesn't matter. That's not the determining factor, but it's certainly an argument, something for them to complain about. So who's going to win? Georgia, Alabama? Which one of these? Is there an upset coming? And if so, where?
I think if it comes, it will be in the SEC. Here's a stat for you on Georgia. Over the last 4 weeks against Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech, Georgia ranks 125th in run defense success rate. Now, granted, this is one of those advanced analytics stats that really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot when you look at a box score, but in terms of winning on running plays, they are getting beat up over the last 4 weeks. If Alabama can run the football, they're going to win that game.
Well, they can run it. I mean, they're going to be able to run it at least a little bit. So
125th in the country over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like I said, the gap is certainly narrowed. I mean, Georgia's good, but they're not as good. But
they're not as good as the championship teams from either of the last 2 years.
No, absolutely not. But there's a lot. But you know what? That still may be enough. I mean, they still, in my opinion, are the best team in the country until proven otherwise. They've done enough in the toughest conference in the country. So, and if they beat Alabama, that's a big notch for me. Early in the year, I didn't think Alabama had a prayer in the world as far as saying they should be in anything.
Especially after the Texas loss.
Exactly. But this team and some of their other close wins. I mean, this is a team that was vulnerable, and they should have lost this last week. By the way,
should have lost to South Florida. They were losing with 58 minutes of that Auburn game. Yeah.
Yeah. How does that happen? By the way, I mean, I just such bad luck for Auburn.
Rivalry on the road.
I guess
weird things happen.
I'm just saying that how Auburn does it. Then we're not having a conversation. Louisville's the one. Louisville's they're gonna beat Florida State, I think, and I may release that game. Florida State's vulnerable. They don't have, as you just said, they do not have a great win. That's where if call an upset, and that would be an upset. I mean, you got an undefeated team that playing for their way into the playoffs, or at least in theory, and you have a Louisville team that should be able to rebound off. If they win last week, maybe it's a little different vibe. But I mean, I think this team will recircle the wagons. 7 of the last 9 games in this series have gone over, and Louisville's 11-2 their last 13 games. Do people in Louisville understand the success this team is having and has had going into last year, and how that turnaround's been really, really impressive?
I think they are a little bit. They're a little bit torn. One, they're excited because the Scott Satterfield era was so bad that now that they've got one of their own directing the ship, that things are great, things are going good. They would be over the moon though had they won Saturday over Kentucky.
Yeah, I understand. That's a big one.
Yeah. So now that loss has happened, I think they kind of, it was more of a punch in the gut. I don't think they fully understand, and that maybe they will when they win Saturday, that the epicness of the turnaround that this program has made just in the last 3 years, really just in the last 7 months, is far and above where they could be, especially considering how bad their basketball program is. So they got to hang their hat on something.
So which fans are more delusional about where they are versus where they think they should be right now?
Texas A&M.
No, I'm gonna give you 2 teams. You're A&M every year. That always wins that poll.
Yes.
Because they both have had similar seasons, if you think about it, Oklahoma or Louisville. The expectation, more delusional from where they are versus where they think they should be right now.
I would say Oklahoma fans, because Oklahoma had a 10-win season and they are mad. That's how spoiled they are. And the expectations shifted so much after the Texas win that they went from being, hey, we're going to be good, to we're going to be great, to we're going to win a championship, and then it all fell apart, and they're mad about a 10-win season. So yeah,
well, Louisville up 110 also, and I do think your point is that Oklahoma fans there's a lot more of them. They are a lot more passionate in general, and they are used to success. But both teams are kind of similar. You've got both teams that lost to the rival, or one of their rivals. Both teams
lost a game they should.
Yeah, and lost a game they shouldn't, and we're not expected preseason to do as much as they've achieved. Both programs should be very happy with where they are, honestly. If you think back to preseason, now a lot of Sooner fans say we were going to play for the national championship, but realistically, for where that defense was, and frankly, the offense, that team's come a long way and had a very, very good year. 10 wins. Come on, both these teams are living the dream. So I think that's where the upset will come from, Louisville over Florida State. FatJackSports.com. Go get signed up today, guys. See what winning is like. Their season is far from over. We have more plays that go out in December than any other month. And that's because we have the bowl games. And we have on a Tuesday, we'll have 3, 4, 5 games. Some of this last week. This last week on Thursday, we had 4. Friday, we had 4. Saturday, we had 5. Sunday, we had 5. So that's a lot of volume and we had Monday's winner. And so, you add it up, there are a bunch of volume going over the weekend. Well, that happens almost every week in the month of December into January. So it's a great time. I don't raise prices because of that. And I give away the bowl analysis sheet. Don't raise prices because of that. Go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up, take advantage of the deal. Do what we ask just for a month. Give yourself a month to see what consistent winning plays will do to your bankroll. And then make an assessment. Don't sign up for 2 days. Do what you want to do and then think that you know everything there is to know about the service. That's what losers do. You're not a loser. You're better than that. Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today, and win. How are we doing on time?
10 weeks until the Super Bowl, Jack. There's still 10 weeks left of winning opportunities for bettors,
including the most highest volume month of the entire year.
Yep.
All right. So I sent you a series of videos.
You did
on your phone. On the Fat Jacks on the Beat the Odds TV show, I had somehow just randomly they had said, Jack, they asked the other guy, do you think Jack could make a 29-yard field goal? And I said, of course I can make a 29-yard field goal. I kicked it. I was a Whittier Warrior kicker back in the day. Of course I can make it. And I punted all the way into high school. So I said, of course I can make a 20-yard field goal. No problem. Whittier Warrior, for those of you around the country, is a middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I peaked about then, I think. Most people will tell you. Anyway, so it ballooned into them saying, no, we don't think you can do it. So I went out last week when I first got here, and I said, before I went to LA, I was in LA, went to Vegas to tape the show. Before I went to Vegas, I went out and I couldn't find a goalpost at a football field, but I went to a park with a soccer goal. I stepped off what I felt like was about 29 yards and made some practice kicks. All of them, the first couple were bad, but after that, all of them up high enough, right over the goal deal at the soccer field. I felt really good about my chances. So I went back to tape the TV show, and it came up again. I said, absolutely, I can and I will make a 29-yarder. I said, in fact, I'll get it on video for you, and I will video it, and we can run it on the show. So I went back out. We had to sneak on to a private Christian school here in Orange County, which is a whole nother story. I took my kids, one to hold and one to film, and then I decided to kick from 29 yards. My fatal flaw, Brandon, was I was kicking from about 24 yards when I was at the soccer field. I stepped it off incorrectly, and my strength is not there. I can get it up over the goalpost online pretty consistently for 24 yards. But that extra 5, it's not even really 5, but that extra 5 yards, I was a little bit like that kicker the other night for, who was it that banged it off the goalpost in the afternoon games on Sunday? That could have tied the game up.
I was traveling, so I missed it.
Anyway, somebody had a 55 yard or whatever, and he banged it off the goalpost. Anyway, so I'm now talked up, and to make matters worse, about my 5th kick, I pulled my quad. And it wasn't
not your hamstring, but your quad.
My quad in front, I know. I had been jogging the day before a little bit and could feel it kind of tightening. And then I went, it's not torn or anything stupid like that. Like, I could go out today and kick again. It would probably act up, but not horrible. But I now have to go back and tape the show. And I sent them the video. But anyway, if you put that up somewhere, people might enjoy seeing me try to make a 29-yarder that shows up 24 yards and doesn't go through the uprights. But that's bad news. I've got to go kind of eat some crow and build back. I told them, they said, are you done? I said, no, I'm building back. Of course I'm going to be able to do it. I can gain 5 yards.
Yeah.
So by the time we get to next year at this time, at the latest, I'll be able to knock down a 29-yard. I thought it was interesting. I could make a college extra point right now. So I'm now going to get more mad when I see college football kickers not make an extra point, because that is not hard. I could do. In fact, my daughter did that. And she played soccer in high school, but she could make that. So I don't want to hear about college kickers not making extra points, because that is not difficult. But you back up 29, it became a different thing. So
if you want to watch the video of Jack kicking basically an extra point, if you're watching the show on YouTube, or you follow us on any of the socials at FatJackSports, you'll be able to see the video. Jack, we could probably actually watch it right now if you want.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let them watch it. I mean, they can watch it.
Fat Jack here. Number 1, field goal kicker. Let's roll.
He didn't even step it off?
No. I'm just going.
Just a little shy. Okay.
That was short and left. That was a bad one. And then I tweaked something. You know what? I'm going to go out. You put those up because people see that it didn't go well. There's 3 of them. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to definitely make an extra point. I'll make Karen hold it, and I'll make her hold the camera also. She'll be doing double duty. But that's not difficult.
Fat Jack, number 1, field goal kicker. Let's roll.
I like the jersey, by the way.
You like what that was made by Lucky Star Casino about 10 years ago. That was short. And I tweaked something. It was short, and I tweaked something.
I can see the pain in your eyes.
Yeah, boy, it's getting worse, man, because now I'm hurt. And I'm trying to get it, trying to tough it out. It's not gonna work. But when I'm not hurt, I can definitely get it across there. Yeah, Fat Jack, that jersey was made for billboards back 10 years ago when I weighed 350 pounds. It doesn't really fit.
Let's say it looked a little loose.
Very loose. It was snug when I bought it. Very snug. So anyway, so that's That's the field goal kicking. That was bad news. So how are we doing? We got to take a break?
We need to squeeze in a break. We also need to find a school to sneak onto Super Bowl weekend in Vegas.
That should be easy enough.
Yeah, we'll 30-yard kick, or not 30-yard, but yeah.
I can definitely do an extra point. I could definitely do 20 yards. I'm somewhere between 20 and 30 though. 29 is a no right now, but we'll see. By then I'm stretching every day.
I would say it's 10 weeks away. We'll figure it out, and then we'll get it on tape and
that's like a
put
good
some
one.
money on the line, maybe.
Put it up somewhere. Yeah. You know what? Anybody wants to bet I can't make an extra point. I mean, I'll take all that action you want. The form is there, Brandon. And you can't see it from that because I tweak my quad, but the form is there. It's the distance is the problem. So
got some time, like you said, just do stretches and then work on your pliability over the next few weeks, and we'll bang through a 30-yarder.
Every day's leg day, bro. That's what I'm going to do between now and the Super Bowl. Every day's leg day.
Get those squats in.
That's right.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this week, here is our host. He is a favorite to win. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. I don't know how this show's gone overall. I normally assess it about now, thinking I need to pick it up or not. It's been okay. 6 or 7. 7 was probably pretty good. If you want to make money this weekend, go to FatJackSports.com. Championship weekend, always very profitable here at the service. And then, of course, bowl games start next week. So by the time we hear next week, right, starts this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in there. 15.
Sounds about right.
I think it's next week. I don't know. We'll check it. Anyway, either way, it doesn't matter. No, next week's going to be Army-Navy. That whole thing.
The first bowl games are the 16th, so the following Saturday.
Yeah, so great. So this next week we'll have kind of calm before the storm. I'm going to run a special thing during that calm before the storm. So stay tuned for that too. I've got an idea. Actually, a friend gave me the idea, and it's a great idea. And so I'm going to try that that week. So something special coming then. The better plan, get signed up long term so you can get the bowl package. Get all the basketball. The basketball is 8-1 last weekend. It's making money almost every day. Everything's winning right now. So you don't want to miss these winning streaks as we go through the season. And if you're a general public, you needed to make money Sunday because you're going to most likely give it back again this week. There's also a game this week, Brandon, that I am thinking about making a 2-star play. I haven't done that in season.
It's been a while. I honestly, I don't remember the last time regular season that there was a multi-unit play.
I haven't done it ever during the season. Bowl
Definitely
games.
Definitely seen the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, some playoffs, some bowl games, some, but not regular season. There is a game this weekend I absolutely like a lot. I don't want to break people. People are so undisciplined.
Sure.
So you send it out and it happens to lose. I get emails. But I do feel like the elite guys I'll tell them what game it is and tell them. So they're going to know. But the average guy who's betting $50 and then he decides, oh, well, Jack says it's going to definitely get a win. We'll bet 500. And then it sets him back 10 units or something. If it happens, they turn the ball over 5 times or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always a chance you're going to lose, even if a game mathematically looks like it should be an easy winner. So I have to walk that line. But yeah, by the way, if you're not in the elite package and you play more than 300 a game, go to the package page, scroll all the way to the bottom and read about that. Those plays have been consistently winning week after week as well. And those are extra plays, lower rated plays. Everybody gets the same top plays, but lower rated plays. It's more money because there's more work that goes into that, more plays and all that, but higher volume, higher risk, but most of the time higher reward. Sunday, what jumps out at you? As I said, we had 13 different favorites covered last week. It's the first time in the Super Bowl era that's happened. So what jumps out at you this week? Or a game or two?
2 games, both in the AFC. Colts, who are now even money to make the playoffs. If you're looking at some futures options, play the Titans. Team's been different with Gardner Minshew at the helm, and it feels like they're kind of being a bit undervalued this week. What they're underdogs yet again this week. Actually, let's take it back. They're 2.5-point favorites at Tennessee this week, so might be something intriguing. Also, Denver, 5 straight wins. goes to Houston, who is a team that, again, was undervalued probably going into the year. Tough loss last week, but it should be maybe a playoff eliminator, if you will, even though it's hard to think that Denver was even going to be in that conversation a month and a half ago.
Yeah. What have I lost my mind? By the way, how my Baltimore Ravens doing? I mean, I gave them out 18-1. They're literally they're gonna be the number 1 seed probably in the conference. I mean, they very well may be. They have the best record right now heading into their bye. They get a bye this week, and Baltimore
great that it's a late bye.
Exactly, because they won. They won all these games. I mean, this is a team that I got it 20-1 with one book and 18-1 with the other, and I'm going to be able to hedge out of that so many times. Not even going to be funny, even if they fall on their face one here and there. I don't even to win. This is why you listen to the show. I give you guys stuff in June and July that you'll make money at the end of the year. I've done this 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yep.
And Baltimore, even if they get in the playoffs and fall on their face, I'm not losing a dime. And I'll walk people through that once we get to the playoffs. But because they are going to be the number 1 seed, there's going to be opportunities to play underdogs money line to get back what I have into it in every single round. So because I'm going to play underdog money lines. I'll explain it all when we get closer. But easy way to make money. If I lost my mind to be thinking about playing a futures bet on the Dallas Cowboys to win the Super Bowl?
I mean, that defense is playing good enough to be able to hold their own against pretty much anybody in the NFC, at least. What's crazy for them, Jack, is that when they win by $1 billion.
Yep.
When they lose by $1 billion. But they are a team that I don't. There are worse bets, obviously, that could be made. I mean, I don't hate it. That's
here's
for
the
sure,
problem.
especially if there's value there.
Here's the problem and the value's all but gone. I mean, I don't know what the number is on Baltimore. That value's gone as well. But they're not 18-1. I'll promise you that. But here's the problem with Dallas. Dak Prescott, he's been very consistent over his career. When he plays bad teams, he covers almost 7 out of 10 times. Wins and covers 7 out of 10 times. When he plays good teams, he covers about 3 out of 10, 3.5 out of 10. And loses a lot of those games. So I just keep going back and forth. You look at the anatomy of this team, they are what it takes to win the Super Bowl. A little bit like Buffalo, what we thought about they were a couple of years ago, which of course couldn't get it across the finish line because Josh Allen, like Dak Prescott can do, will turn the ball over when he's not supposed to. But the rest of that team is what it needs to be. CeeDee Lamb is a next level receiver. Their defense is really good. They have to make mistakes to lose or to get blown out in those type games. And even to lose those games, there's going to have to be some mistakes. The problem is the guy who's most likely to make mistakes runs the program for him.
Has his hands on the ball the most, right?
Exactly. So it's really a problem. But I like those flyers, especially the Cowboys are not a team around the country that people have decided have turned any corners. They just don't – they have no faith in what Prescott is. And people, frankly, love to hate the Cowboys. So –
Cowboys right now, but Jack, DraftKings 9-1 to win the Super Bowl, 3rd favorite in the NFC.
Yeah, it's not horrible, and this team's really good defensively. So I don't know. It might be worth.
I would trust them more than any of the other also rans. I mean, obviously behind San Francisco and Philly, but I trust them more than Detroit, more than Seattle.
Yeah,
more than Minnesota.
Yeah, those teams are not making it, and I would. You know what, Brandon? I would put Philly in that too. Philly, you realize Philly played. I want to say 67 plays on defense this last week. That is like almost a record. That is a ton of we're not controlling the ball. We're not possessing the ball. And they played a team that, a couple weeks ago probably wasn't going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So let's not put Buffalo in this category of beating up Kansas City. But I don't think Philly's going to make it. I really don't. I think they are. So now I've got one of the top 2 teams in the conference, and I'm getting them 9-1. I don't hate that. So I wouldn't put a bunch, but I could hedge out if they get in the conference championship game for sure. So they got to beat one of those teams and just do what they're supposed to do against teams they're better than. So interesting conversation at least. So we out of time?
We are.
Go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up, start winning this weekend. If you haven't signed up, if you have, get a longer package and win through the holiday season. Don't drink and drive, wager responsibly. Until next week, guys, have a great championship week. Be back with you next weekend with a super, super deal. So get signed up today and make money all month long. You've been listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.